Life has a way of testing us. People will betray your trust, criticize your dreams, and abandon you when you need them most. Words will cut deep. Circumstances will feel impossible, and the world will seem designed to break your spirit. But what if I told you that over 2,000 years ago, ancient philosophers discovered a way to become emotionally invincible? The Stoics understood something profound, that no external force, no person, no circumstance can truly harm you unless you give it permission. They developed a mindset so unshakable that emperors and slaves alike could find perfect peace in the midst of chaos. Today, you're going to learn how to build that same fortress around your mind and heart. The foundation of Stoic invincibility begins with understanding what Marcus Aurelius called the discipline of desire. He wrote in his personal journal, later known as Meditations, that we suffer not because of what happens to us, but because of our judgments about what happens to us. When someone insults you, the words themselves are just vibrations in the air. The pain comes from your interpretation, your attachment to their opinion, your belief that their judgment has power over your worth. The Stoic recognizes this fundamental truth. You cannot control what others say or do, but you have absolute sovereignty over your responses. This is where your true power lies, not in changing the world, but in mastering yourself. The second pillar of emotional invincibility is practicing what Epictetus taught about the dichotomy of control. Born a slave who became one of history's greatest teachers, Epictetus understood suffering intimately. He taught that everything in life falls into two categories: things within our control and things beyond our control. Within our control are our thoughts, judgments, desires, and actions. Beyond our control is everything else, including other people's behavior, the past, the future, and external circumstances. When you truly internalize this distinction, you stop wasting emotional energy on things you cannot change, and instead, focus all your power on what you can influence. This shift alone will make you untouchable to external manipulation and disappointment. Seneca, the wealthy advisor to emperors, discovered that attachment is the root of all emotional vulnerability. He practiced voluntary discomfort and regularly imagined losing everything he valued, not out of pessimism, but as a form of mental training. This practice, called premeditatio malorum, strengthens your emotional resilience by removing the element of surprise from hardship. When you've already mentally prepared for loss, criticism, or betrayal, these experiences lose their power to devastate you. You become like a mountain that remains unmoved, whether storms rage or gentle breezes blow. The external weather changes, but your inner landscape remains constant and serene. True emotional invincibility comes from understanding that your self-worth cannot be determined by external validation or criticism. The Stoics taught that dignity and honor come from within, from living according to your values and maintaining your integrity regardless of how others treat you. When someone tries to hurt you with their words or actions, they reveal their own character, not yours. Their behavior is a reflection of their inner state, their fears, their pain, their limitations. By refusing to internalize their negativity, you maintain your peace while allowing them to struggle with their own demons. This is not indifference, but rather a profound form of self-respect. The practice of negative visualization serves as armor for your emotions. Regularly imagine losing the people and things you value most. This is not about becoming pessimistic or ungrateful, but about breaking the chains of attachment that make you vulnerable to emotional manipulation. When you love someone or something without clinging to it, When you appreciate without depending, you create space for genuine joy while protecting yourself from devastating loss. The Stoics understood that suffering comes not from loss itself, but from our resistance to loss. Our belief that we're entitled to permanent happiness in an impermanent world. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal from trusted friends, criticism from enemies, and the enormous pressure of ruling an empire. Yet he remained centered because he understood that external events are neutral until we assign them meaning. The promotion you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the criticism from someone you respected, these are simply facts until you decide what story to tell yourself about them. The Stoic chooses empowering interpretations. Setbacks become opportunities for growth. Criticism becomes fuel for improvement, and loss becomes a reminder of life's preciousness. By controlling the narrative in your mind, you control your emotional experience. Emotional invincibility requires developing what the Stoics called sympatheia, the understanding that we are all interconnected parts of a larger whole. When someone hurts you, they are acting from their own pain, ignorance, or fear. This doesn't excuse their behavior, but it helps you respond from wisdom rather than emotion. You can maintain boundaries and protect yourself without carrying resentment or hatred. Forgiveness becomes not something you do for them, but something you do for yourself, a way of refusing to let their dysfunction infect your inner peace. You become like water, which yields to obstacles while maintaining its essential nature and eventually wearing down even the hardest stone. The Stoic path teaches that suffering is optional, but pain is inevitable. Physical pain, loss, and disappointment are part of the human experience. But the secondary suffering we create through our thoughts, our resistance, our victim stories, this is entirely within our control. When you stub your toe, there's immediate physical pain. When you then spend the next hour angry about stubbing your toe, cursing your clumsiness, and replaying the incident, you've created unnecessary emotional suffering. The Stoics learned to experience pain without adding layers of mental anguish, to face difficulties with equanimity rather than dramatic emotional reactions. Self-discipline becomes your greatest protection against emotional vulnerability. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, reason over emotion, wisdom over reaction, you strengthen your inner fortress. This might mean not responding immediately to a provocative message, taking a deep breath before reacting to criticism, or choosing to see obstacles as training rather than punishment. Discipline is not about suppressing your emotions, but about ensuring they serve your highest good rather than controlling you. When you are master of yourself, no external force can truly master you. The transformation from emotional vulnerability to invincibility happens gradually, through consistent practice of Stoic principles. You don't wake up one day immune to hurt feelings, but you do develop increasing resilience with each challenge you face with wisdom rather than reactivity. Each time you choose your response rather than being triggered into automatic reaction, you build emotional muscle. Each time you focus on what you can control rather than what you cannot, you reclaim your power. Each time you interpret events in ways that serve your growth rather than your victimhood, you become more unshakable. The ultimate Stoic insight is that freedom comes not from having power over others or perfect circumstances, but from having power over yourself. When you no longer need others to behave a certain way for you to be happy, when you no longer require external validation to feel worthy, when you no longer depend on circumstances to align perfectly for you to find peace, you have achieved true liberation. This is not about becoming cold or disconnected from others, but about loving and engaging from a place of strength rather than neediness, giving rather than taking, creating value rather than demanding it. The ancient Stoics faced plagues, wars, exile, imprisonment, and death with remarkable equanimity because they understood something most people never learn: that your inner world is your kingdom and no one can invade it without your permission. They discovered that when you align your will with what is, when you accept what you cannot change while working diligently on what you can, when you find meaning in virtue rather than in external rewards, you become genuinely untouchable. Not because nothing bad ever happens to you, but because you have developed the wisdom and strength to handle whatever comes with grace and dignity. You now possess the same tools that helped Marcus Aurelius rule an empire, Epictetus transcend slavery, and Seneca navigate the dangerous politics of ancient Rome. The path to emotional invincibility is not about building walls around your heart, but about building strength within it. It's not about becoming indifferent to life, but about engaging with life from a place of inner security rather than desperate need. No one can hurt you when you know who you are, when you control your responses, when you find your worth within yourself rather than in others' opinions. The Stoic way is not easy, but it is the path to true freedom, unshakable peace, and the kind of strength that turns every challenge into an opportunity for growth.